What markers do I use when I draw caricatures live? I get asked that question a lot, and in this video I'm going to show you my top 3 markers for drawing caricatures. This pen did not make my top 3, but it deserves an honorable mention. These are easy to find. Crayola Black marker. I can get thin lines and thick lines. It's not quite as controllable, but I have seen artists draw professional caricatures using a Crayola marker. It would take me more practice because it's harder to get the thin lines, but you can definitely get the thicker lines. So that is a very honorable mention for Crayola marker. Another honorable mention is a professional Copic Sketch marker, or maybe it's pronounced Copic. I'm not sure, but this one has 2 ends. It has a chisel end, which I would never use. Some people could, and a brush end. Now I can get thin and thick lines with this too, but the reason I don't use this, it's not a go-to marker to draw live, is that this brush nib is very flexible. It's very soft and flexible, and so to get smooth lines or thin lines I sometimes have to slow down, and when you're drawing live you don't want to slow down. But it's got fantastic ink, and this ink is alcohol based, so it does not smear. It dries almost instantly and it won't smear. Another honorable mention is Chart Pack. When I was working at Disney World, most of the artists switched to using chart packs, and there's 2 types. There's the bullet nib, and I call it the chisel tip. I think they call it the tri-tip. And these also alcohol-based ink. The bullet nib, it's hard to get thick and thin lines. You get thin lines, you can make it thicker. It's a little hard or difficult. And then the chisel tip, you can get the thin lines, and if you switch and using the chisel edge, you can get thicker lines. But sometimes it twists. The alcohol smell is very intense, and it's a little more difficult to get the thin lines quickly while you're drawing someone live. So I really never liked these, but I know a lot of very professional, awesome artists who use these all the time. I guess it just takes practice, or some people may pick it up naturally and love these. I don't use these, but they definitely deserve an honorable mention. Okay, number 3 on the list is the Zebra Extra Fine Point marker. This pen, it has an awesome point. You can make some really thin lines if you want to, and if you press down they can get thicker. I like to use this when drawing, like say I have to draw a family of 5 on the page, so I automatically have to make the faces smaller, and so this would be my go-to pen. I get thick and thin lines, but on a small scale, if that makes sense, when drawing small. And this is called the Zebra Extra Fine Point pen. That's number 3 on the list. The only drawback is you can't draw large lines. This is probably the largest line you can get. Number 2 on the list is the Zig Mangaka Flexible Medium. That's hard to pronounce for me for some reason, but it's called the Zig It's also called the Zig Cartooning Marker and Mangaka Flexible Medium. This one, it has a nib, and that's hard. That's not a soft nib, and so you can draw fast. And it's a little bigger than the zebra pen, so I can still get thin lines, but I can get a little bit thicker lines. And so I can draw thicker lines. I can draw fast. Now, a lot of these pens, the reason I'm using them is so that I can draw fast in a live situation. And this is number 2 on the list. This pen is number 1 on the list. My favorite marker to draw caricatures right now. It is the Tombow dual point brush marker. The nib on this is just like a real paintbrush, but it's made out of felt. So I can get thin lines, but I can also get thick lines. I can get very thick lines if I press down nice and hard. So if I'm drawing a head shape, I can get these thick and thin lines. It's fast. It's my absolute favorite right now. The only drawback is that this is a water-based ink, and so if you're not careful, it will smear. If you draw a fresh line and then smear. So you have to wait a few minutes, or if you can find the right paper. Certain types of paper you can draw on and it will dry immediately. This is my favorite marker right now, and I'm going to leave some links in the description for you to buy some if you want from Amazon, and those links help support this channel. So if you want to try the Tombow and you haven't tried it yet, please get you one. Those are my top 3 markers for drawing caricatures live, and I left links in the description so that you can try them out if you want. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.